Good afternoon. This is Micah Mitchell with Madison County Weather Updates. Right off the top, I want to talk about the fact that we are now under a winter storm warning from tomorrow afternoon through Friday evening, and the National Weather Service is calling for 3 to 6 inches of snow, plus the strong winds, the flash freezing, the low temperatures, all the things we've been talking about. I guess I should note to you, I'm just pulled over on my lunch, and so if you hear cars going by, that's why you hear a bunch of noise, because I'm sitting in my truck kind of on the side of the road. So at any rate, we'll take a look at this modeling here, and just because I just want you to see how all over the place the models are, and then I'll kind of give some of my thoughts, and I'll try to keep this as short as I can. So here's the NAM 3K. Hi, Rick. You just popped up in my video. So the NAM 3K has us, central Indiana, not picking up very much snow. It's at, 2 to maybe 3 or 4 inches of snow. So it's kind of the low one right now. We'll take a look here is the HRRR from 12Z. And again, we look into central Indiana. It's, somewhere in the 3.5 to maybe say 5-inch range. So, kind of, a moderate snow. The latest European moved considerably east. So it's ranging anywhere from 3 inches at Indy to close to 5 inches at Muncie. It's pushed the heavier snows over into Ohio. I don't agree with that. I'll explain to you why here in just a second. But just kind of giving you an idea of where these models are. And of course, here's the GFS, and the others I did with the Kuchera method on. The GFS I just did at a 10 to 1 because the Kuchera one, I mean, if the GFS is right, it would be an epic storm, but I figured 10 to 1 was enough. I will tell you that it was putting down about 17 inches of snow here in Madison County, and I don't think that's going to happen. So at any rate, see the GFS is more amplified still, and is keeping heavier snow kind of in north central, northeastern Indiana. Here is the high resolution Canadian. It is now back down closer to where the NAM is, somewhere in the 2 to 3 inch range. So we've got all these models that have all these different solutions going on. The forecast I did yesterday was I called for 4 to 8 inches. Going back to my first videos when I first started talking about this, I said my gut instinct at the time was 3 to 6, and then by Sunday I was like, well, if I had to put a forecast out, I'd do 4 to 8, which is what I've done. I'm kind of debating on I might drop down to 3 to 6 from the 4 to 8. That's not a big change, but it's 3 to 6. I feel like is a pretty high percentage that's going to happen. So, as my friends at BAM have noted, a couple things they noted. One, with the winds that are coming in behind this thing, it's almost not going to matter whether you get 2 inches or 10 inches because so much of it's going to blow all over the place. It's going to be really hard to measure. I have a pretty sheltered spot that I measure in. Hopefully that holds up. But it's going to be really hard to measure the snow. So, you might have a spot where there's an inch of snow and then somewhere, 20 feet away that has a 3-foot drift. So it's going to be one of those kind of deals. So really getting hung up on the snowfall amounts isn't, with this storm, it almost doesn't even matter. The winds, the brutal temperatures, the brutal wind chills, those are going to be the big stories. Hopefully nobody has to deal with power outages because it's going to be so stinking cold. So I don't want anybody going without power, and don't want our linemen and women having to go out and do work in these conditions up on the poles and 30, 40, 50 mile per hour winds. It's not a good thing for anybody. And so the takeaway on all this is those are the biggest concerns. The snowfall is just going to be some visual dressing for Christmas. We'll get our white Christmas. Just hopefully we don't get any other bad things going along with the winds and and the ice that'll be underneath the roads when they flash freeze, underneath the snow. There are other issues that are bigger deals than what this snowfall is. Here's a screenshot of the mid-level water vapor with the pressure levels on, and this seems to be doing pretty good versus real world pressures, so I went ahead and used it. And but what we got going on right now is our storm is out there. You see those three circles right now. It's kind of an elongated series of three little low pressure cores. Their pressures are all pretty similar, somewhere around 1,012 to 1,014 millibars. It's not an intense low right now. So the question becomes, will these consolidate into a more tightly wrapped low pressure that deepens and does something like what the GFS is saying? Will it stay all stretched out and kind of ragtag, like what some of the other model data is suggesting? Will a couple of these low pressures just kind of fade away and it just become one longer stretched out, weaker low pressure system? Those are the things we got to figure out, and we really aren't going to know until it starts to do it. Unfortunately, forecasting is fun, but it's a real pain in the behind, and it's not an exact science, and I know people want it to be, but it's just not. So we're just going to have to watch and see what this thing does over the next day or so, and well, honestly, we're going to find out when we find out, because this is just not a well-defined thing like what it looked like. The models a few days ago were showing this really well-defined singular storm, and now as it's come on shore and they've been sampled, the models are starting to realize that it's not what was being projected, and that's why you're seeing things change so much. So right now I'm kind of debating between just hanging with my 4 to 8 forecast, or maybe dropping down to 3 to 6. Either way, that much of a change isn't really going to make that big of a difference. The GFS, I will say, it has this knack sometimes of figuring out a storm none of the others figure out. It'll look terrible, be way off from everything else, do terrible for a couple of storms, and all of a sudden it nails one. So we'll see. We can't rule out the larger totals. You have some things come together, but right now, kind of the range I've been in is where I still am, and kind of where the National Weather Service has gone. One last thing that BAM mentioned in one of their videos earlier that I actually had not even thought about as far as snowfall accumulation is, with these high winds, a lot of times the winds will actually break snowflakes, and so where you would have had a large fluffy snowflake that would accumulate quickly, it ends up getting broken into multiple pieces. It falls and it's more compact, and you don't get as much accumulation. So that's another wacky thing that could affect this whole thing. So I'm kind of rambling a little too long here. Those are just my latest thoughts. Again, winter storm warning tomorrow. It is going to happen. The temperatures are going to happen. The winds are going to happen. The blowing and drifting are going to happen. The flash freeze is going to happen. The amount of snowfall is the only thing that's really in question. And again, like Bam said earlier, the amount of snowfall probably doesn't even matter with the way this is going to happen. So as we figure things out, or if there's anything else to update you on, I will do so. In the meantime, thank you all for supporting this page. This is Michael Mitchell with Madison County Weather Updates. Have a great day.